There's a number that quietly defines the financial health of millions of Americans, and almost nobody talks about it. It's not your credit score, not your mortgage rate, not your 401k balance. It's the number on a small piece of paper you sign at a dealership, usually under fluorescent lights, usually while someone in a polo shirt smiles at you and hands you a pen. Your monthly car payment. The average new car payment in America right now is $737 a month. Let that land for a second. $737 every month for a depreciating asset that you need just to get to work so you can afford the payment. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. That number has nearly doubled in the last decade. Not because cars got twice as good, not because people got twice as rich, but because of a system, quiet, legal, and extraordinarily well-designed, that turned the American car market into one of the most effective wealth extraction machines in modern history. This is the story of how that happened, and why, for a lot of people, it's about to get significantly worse. Let's start with something simple. You need a car. Most Americans do. This isn't a lifestyle choice, it's infrastructure. 60% of American workers commute by personal vehicle. Public transit outside of a handful of major cities is basically a suggestion, so the car isn't optional, it's a necessity. And that distinction matters enormously, because when something is a necessity, sellers have enormous power over buyers. You can decide not to buy a luxury watch. You cannot decide not to get to work. The auto industry understood this a long time ago, and starting roughly in the 1990s, they began quietly engineering a product and a financing system that would turn that necessity into an addiction. Here's how it worked. For decades, the way Americans bought cars was pretty straightforward. You saved up, you bought something used or something modest, you drove it until the wheels fell off. The average loan term was maybe 36 months, 3 years. You paid it off, and then critically, you had a few years of no payment at all. That gap was financial breathing room. It was space. Then something changed. The industry noticed that buyers didn't actually care that much about the price of the car. What they cared about was the monthly payment. Could they afford the number? Could they fit it in their budget? If the answer was yes, the deal was done. So they started stretching the loan. 36 months became 48. 48 became 60. 60 became 72. Now the average new car loan in America is 69 months, almost 6 years. And a growing share, nearly a third of new car loans stretch to 84 months, 7 years. Think about what you're doing when you sign a 7-year car loan. You are committing to paying for a machine that depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot for longer than most people stay at the same job, longer than many relationships, longer than it takes to complete a graduate degree. And you're doing it because the salesman showed you a monthly number that felt manageable and you said yes. That is not an accident. That is a design. Now let's talk about what that design actually costs you. Take a car. $40,000, completely average for a new vehicle in 2024. Finance it at 7% interest, which is right now basically the going rate, over 72 months. Your payment is around $607 a month. Sounds manageable, right? That's what the industry wants you to think. But here's the math they don't put on the window sticker. Over those 6 years, you'll pay roughly $43,700 total. That's $3,700 in pure interest on top of the sticker price. And the car, by the time you're done paying, is worth maybe $18,000. You paid $43,700 for something worth $18,000. That gap, $25,700, is money that left your household and did not come back. It didn't build equity. It didn't compound. It just evaporated. And then, in most cases, people roll into their next loan with the remaining balance from the first one, a practice called being upside down or underwater, and the cycle starts again, deeper this time. The industry has a name for this. They call it negative equity trade-in. Analysts track it carefully because it is enormously profitable. As of late 2023, roughly 1 in 4 Americans who traded in a vehicle owed more on their old car than the car was worth. The average negative equity amount, about $6,000, which gets quietly rolled into the new loan, which makes the new payment higher, which makes the new loan term longer, which makes everything worse. It is a treadmill, a very expensive, very legal treadmill. But wait, it gets more interesting. Because it's not just the purchase price and the interest rate working against you. There's a third dimension to this that most people completely miss when they walk into a dealership: the whole ecosystem around the car. Insurance premiums on new vehicles are at record highs. The average American now spends over $2,000 a year on car insurance. In some states, California, Florida, Louisiana, that number is closer to $3,500, and it's rising at nearly 20% year over year, driven by higher repair costs, more expensive parts, and a wave of severe weather events that insurance actuaries are not ignoring, even if politicians are. Then there's maintenance. Modern vehicles are extraordinarily complex. The average repair cost for a new car out of warranty is rising sharply. EVs promise to solve this: fewer moving parts, less maintenance. But EV repair costs have turned out to be brutal in their own right, because the battery pack that sits under the floor is essentially the most expensive single component ever put in a consumer vehicle. Add it all up: the payment, the insurance, the gas or charging, the maintenance, the registration fees, the parking. The American Automobile Association estimates the true total cost of owning a new vehicle in 2024 is over $12,000 per year for one car. For a median household income of around $74,000, which sounds okay until you pay taxes and housing, that's potentially 20% of gross income just to keep a vehicle on the road. And yet, millions of people are doing it because they have to, because the alternative in most of this country is not viable. Here's where we need to talk about what's coming, because everything we've described so far, the stretched loans, the negative equity, the rising insurance, that's the existing pressure, the baseline dysfunction that's already baked in. What's about to layer on top of it is something different: tariffs. In 2025, the U.S. government imposed sweeping tariffs on imported vehicles and auto parts. The political framing was about protecting American manufacturing. The economic reality is more complicated, and the impact on consumers is extremely straightforward. Cars are going to get more expensive. Not slightly, meaningfully. Here's why. Even vehicles assembled in America are assembled with global supply chains. Transmissions from Mexico, electronics from South Korea, steel from Canada. When tariffs go on those components, the cost of building the car goes up, and that cost does not disappear. It moves. It moves to the sticker price. It moves to the monthly payment. It moves to you. Analysts at Goldman Sachs, Cox Automotive, and the Anderson Economic Group have all projected that tariffs could add anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 to the price of a new vehicle, depending on the model and where it's built. Some imported vehicles, particularly those from Japan, South Korea, and Germany, could see even larger increases. Now run that back through the math we just did. Take a $40,000 car. Add $6,000 for tariff-driven cost increases, finance the new $46,000 price at 7% over 72 months. Your monthly payment just jumped by nearly $100. Your total interest paid increases by another $500 or $600, and the vehicle still depreciates at roughly the same rate. You're paying more for the same thing, and the loan gets harder to escape.
There's an irony here that's almost too perfect. The people most hurt by expensive cars are the people who can least afford to absorb expensive cars, but they also have the fewest alternatives. A high-income household in a dense city can reasonably decide, forget it, I'll use transit, I'll ride share, I'll buy a used car with cash. They have options. A working-class family in rural Ohio or suburban Georgia or inland California, they need a car. They need it to be reliable enough to get to work without breaking down. They may not have savings for a large down payment. They may have credit that isn't perfect, which means their interest rate isn't 7%, it's 12% or 15% or 18%. Subprime auto loans are a significant and growing portion of the market, and subprime borrowers, by definition people with less financial cushion, are the ones being handed 84-month loans at double-digit interest rates to buy vehicles that will be worth almost nothing by the time the loan is paid off. Delinquency rates on auto loans have been climbing steadily. As of early 2025, subprime auto delinquencies, loans 60 or more days past due, are at levels not seen since 2009, right after the financial crisis, when the entire global economy had just collapsed. We are not in a financial crisis right now, and the delinquency rates look like we are. That tells you something. Let's zoom out for a moment, because there's a bigger question underneath all of this. How did we build a country where the cost of transportation can financially destabilize a household? It didn't happen overnight. It happened through decades of infrastructure decisions, choosing highways over rail, suburbs over density, individual ownership over shared systems that made the personal vehicle not just preferred but mandatory. Every time a city expanded its footprint without expanding transit, it added millions of people to the car dependency rolls. Every time zoning required vast parking lots instead of walkable blocks, it made the alternative less viable. The auto industry didn't create this dependency from nothing, but it absolutely understood it, cultivated it, and monetized it at every available turn. And now we're at a moment where the system is visibly straining. Household budgets are tighter than they've been in years. Interest rates remain elevated. Prices are rising again because of trade policy. Used car values, which briefly surged during the supply crunch, have come back down, which is good for buyers but devastating for anyone who overpaid at the peak and is now underwater. The people who were sold cars they couldn't quite afford at prices that were inflated by supply shortage at interest rates that have since risen are now sitting in vehicles worth less than they owe, trying to figure out their options. Their options are limited. Here's the thing about a system this deeply embedded. It doesn't fix itself. It doesn't even break cleanly. It just grinds, slowly, quietly, in the form of a family that skips a car payment in March because rent went up, in the form of a repo rate that ticks slightly higher in Q3 and gets mentioned in one paragraph of a financial report that nobody reads. It grinds in the form of workers who are technically employed but spending so much on transportation costs that their effective hourly wage after expenses tells a very different story than their paycheck does. The auto market isn't going to crash like the housing market crashed in 2008. There's no mortgage-backed security here, no single moment of theatrical collapse. It's slower than that, more dispersed, harder to photograph. What it looks like mostly is just a lot of people being a lot more broke than they probably should be, working reasonable jobs, making reasonable money, and somehow never getting ahead, feeling like the math doesn't add up without quite being able to point to why. This is why. $737 a month, 6 to 7 years. Interest stacked on depreciation, stacked on insurance, stacked on maintenance. A system designed not to sell you a car, but to sell you payments forever. And the next time you sit under those fluorescent lights, someone will smile and slide a piece of paper across the desk and point to the monthly number and say, "Can you afford this?" The honest answer, the one almost nobody says out loud, is that's the wrong question. The right question is, what does this cost you in total over time, and what else could that money have become? Most people never ask it. The industry is counting on that. If you made it this far, you already think about this differently than most people do. The next video in this series covers what the used car market is doing and why it might not be the escape hatch people think it is.